Okay, so I wasn't planning on it, but some people have been asking me for my thoughts on Project Beast, so here it is. First off, what is Project Beast? Well, there were these supposed leaked photos for a game that From Software is working on, codenamed Project Beast. Many people think that it's a new PS4 exclusive, and many people are also drawing the logical connection to Demon's Souls 2, since Sony owns that intellectual property. We also know that the higher-ups at Sony have expressed their regret for not pursuing the Demon's Souls IP better in Western audiences, saying they really dropped the ball on that one. Ideally, Demon's Souls already has a reputable name and following, and it would be an intelligent route for an exclusive for the PS4, so all of that makes sense. Alright, well, what's my take on all of this? I'll start by saying that I think all of this is real. I believe these are legitimate screenshots of a next-generation game that From Software is working on, and if it isn't, oh well. Regardless, I still believe either way that Miyazaki is working on a next-generation IP. A game developing and publishing company like From Software doesn't just have their lead director create a cult classic that would later become the company's most successful IP by a huge margin, and then bring in someone else to take over the reins. It just doesn't make sense to have your A-team off your most successful IP in the history of your 20-year company, unless you're putting that team on something extremely important. In fact, we've seen many developers doing this exact same thing in preparation for next-gen games lately. Batman Origins was handed off so Rocksteady could begin work on their next-generation Arkham Knight, and there's many more examples of this as well. So do I think this leaked information about Project Beast is real? Yes, I do, and I think it's the exact reason why Miyazaki wasn't working on Dark Souls 2. That being said, if Miyazaki is in fact working on Project Beast, I don't think it's a Demon's Souls game. This is because when we first found out that Dark Souls 2 was changing directors, we have quotes from Miyazaki stating that he was happy to be working on a new IP. Now I guess that could just mean an IP that's not Dark Souls, but I kind of always took it as a completely new intellectual property, meaning not Demons or Dark Souls, not Armored Core, not Kingsfield, not Shadow Tower, not Tenchu, not anything we've ever seen out of From Software before. Something completely new. And personally, that's what I'm hoping for, to be quite honest. Furthermore, after Demon's Souls, when From Software was rumored to be working on the spiritual successor to that game, that rumored game was codenamed Project Dark, which later became Dark Souls. Now since this new project is codenamed Project Beast, in the same way Project Dark became Dark Souls, it leads me to believe that the word Beast will be in the title of the new game From Software is working on. This is why I really don't think it's going to be a sequel to Demon's Souls. I could be completely wrong though. From a business standpoint, I do think Demon's Souls makes the most sense because it already has a name for itself, but I obviously have my doubts. Alright, so let's talk about what Project Beast is exactly. Well, from the screenshots and evidence we have so far, if it is in fact legitimate, it definitely looks to be in the same vein as the Souls franchise. The screenshots definitely have that same gritty, moody, third-person fantasy feel to them. Also, from the quotes we have accompanied with the screenshots, it would appear that there is a shotgun or blunderbuss in the game. I personally think that alone says that it could be a spiritual successor to Shadow Tower. For those of you who don't know, Shadow Tower was a From Software first-person dungeon crawler from the same era as their other first-person dungeon crawler series, Kingsfield. The first Shadow Tower is a much more strict medieval fantasy game with swords, shields, magic, and what have you, with the absence of guns. But Shadow Tower 2 had guns in it, and it also had limb dismemberment, appendage damage similar to Fallout, and to be quite honest, was way ahead of its time from a combat perspective. So that's something to think about. And the real question at this point is, do I think having shotguns or gunpowder-like weapons in the Souls series game is a bad thing? The answer, absolutely not. From a game mechanic standpoint, old-fashioned gunpowder weapons would not really be that much different than spells or magic. I personally love the Engineer class in Warhammer Online, and the Blunderbuster was just a frontal cone AoE attack. Mechanically, not that much different than swinging a gigantic sweeping sword in front of you or blasting a pyromancy flame. If done correctly, I think gunpowder weapons could be a great addition to the arsenal of Souls weaponry. So really that's about it. At this point there's not that much to go on, just a few screenshots and some broad quotes that are all subject to being counterfeit, so take it all with a grain of salt. But that being said, I do think Project Beast is real, I do think Miyazaki is working on it, and I do believe it's highly likely to be a PS4 exclusive, and I hope that it's a brand new IP. Alright, that's about it from me, guys, but I would definitely suggest checking out Hellkite Strike video on Project Beast as it's very short, extremely informative, and concise. And you should also check out Vadi's video on it as well if you have some time to kill. He lays out the information much better than I did here on the project's legitimacy, and for all those of you who really want the game to be Demon's Souls 2, he points out good reasons why Project Beast just might be that sequel you've been wishing for. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.